The World Health Organization raised now the pandemic alert for swine flu to the second highest level, level 5. Right now, Mexico has implemented quarantines and world leaders issuing travel warnings. But of course, it could get worse.
That probable result is 99% sure that you probably have swine flu.
So where did swine flu come from? Swine influenza was first proposed to be a disease related to human influenza during the 1918 flu pandemic, when pigs became sick at the same time as humans. The first identification of an influenza virus as a cause of disease in pigs occurred about 10 years later, in 1930. For the following 60 years, swine influenza strains were almost exclusively H1N1. Then between 1997 and 2002, new strains of 3 different subtypes and 5 different genotypes emerged as causes of influenza among pigs in North America. So what is the swine influenza? The swine flu, also known as hog flu, pig flu, and sometimes the swine, is an infection by any one of several types of swine influenza virus. The swine influenza virus, otherwise known as SIV, is any strain of the influenza family of viruses that is endemic in pigs. As of 2009, the swine SIV strains include influenza C and the subtypes of influenza A known as H1N1, H1N2, H3N1, H3N2, and H2N3. Swine influenza virus is common throughout pig populations worldwide. Transmissions of the virus from pigs to humans is not common and does not always lead to human influenza, often resulting only in the production of antibodies in the blood. If transmission does cause human influenza, it is called zoonotic swine flu. People with regular exposure to pigs are at increased risk of swine flu infection. The meat of an infected animal poses no risk of infection when properly cooked. So how does the swine flu compare to other flus? An influenza pandemic is an epidemic of an influenza virus that spreads on a worldwide scale and infects a large proportion of the human population. In contrast to the regular seasonal epidemics of influenza, these pandemics occur irregularly, with the 1918 Spanish flu the most serious pandemic in recent history. Pandemics can cause high levels of mortality, with the Spanish influenza estimated as being responsible for the deaths of over 50 million people. There have been about 3 influenza pandemics in each century for the last 300 years. The The most recent ones were the Asian flu in 1957 and the Hong Kong flu in 1968. Influenza pandemics occur when a new strain of the influenza virus is transmitted to humans from another animal species. Species that are thought to be important in the emergence of new human strains are pigs, chickens, and ducks. These novel strains are unaffected by any immunity people may have to older strains of human influenza and can therefore spread extremely rapidly and infect very large numbers of people. Influenza A viruses can occasionally be transmitted from wild birds to other species, causing outbreaks in domestic poultry, and may give rise to human influenza pandemics. Different media outlets are making swine flu look like a worldwide killer, but in fact, the seasonal influenza, otherwise known as the common flu, is responsible for sending 200,000 people to the hospital every year, and 36,000 of these people die from seasonal flu-related causes. To have anyone you know die is a traumatic event, but to put these numbers in perspective, only 4,700 people have died worldwide from swine flu as of October 2009. Being that there's over 300 million people living in America, your chances of dying from swine flu are 0.000001%. So why is everyone so nervous about swine flu? The media has been looking for a new story to latch onto. Obama hasn't been swatting away any flies recently, Britney Spears has returned to her sanity, and the Somali pirates lost their epic battle off the east shores of Africa with Captain Richard Phillips of the Maersk, Alabama, and a little help from the Navy SEALs. So when it comes down to it, why is everyone so panicked? It's because of the media. It's a journalist's job to inform the public, but it's the public's job to try to understand and get an accurate portrayal of potential dangers. The swine flu has been blown up to biblical proportions.
Try and avoid sneezing into your hand because you just contaminate them and then spread those germs everywhere. Focus on sneezing into your elbow, like this, and then you don't contaminate your hands. Turn on the water, wet your hands, apply a good amount of soap and lather up, and then focus on washing your hands for about 20 seconds, about the time it takes to sing Happy Birthday twice. Focus on washing the front of your hands, the back, in between the fingers, around the nails, and so on. And then rinse everything off. Use something to wipe your hands after that, preferably something disposable like a paper towel, and then use that to turn off the tap as well. If you get a chance, use that to also open the door to the bathroom as you're leaving. The best way to wash your hands is using running water and soap, but sometimes we don't have that available. So think about carrying with you a hand sanitizer. That should have at least 60% alcohol content.